Chapter 31, Highbrow, page 294. Note, Aleister Crowley's The Book of the Law, channeled from Aiwass, along with its corresponding teachings, is the primary basis for the spiritual political framework of the Aeon of Horus in the age of Aquarius. As with every new era, the soul of Horus would return embodied as a new Messiah, like the Magi following the Star of Bethlehem. Crowley and his magical followers sought the incarnations of Osiris and Horus, who would be born of the right families in the right places on the right dates, and with other signs, including in their bodies, such as Paul's high brow. The illuminated were posed to recognize Paul in William as Horus's modern incarnation, with added brain elements and other design variations. The eye of Horus or Ra is the eye of providence or all-seeing eye. In some traditions, the eye with rays is a phallic emanation in masonry. The eye usually has semicircular glory emanation below it or is enclosed by a triangle or pyramid. In Paul, we see both. The semicircular glory below the eye is formed by his semicircular lower eyelashes, complete with rays. The pyramid's upper lines are formed by his high-bending eyebrow, forming the modern eye of illumination, which also resembles the eye of Horus mirrored vertically. The eye of Paul pyramid joining the text lines to footnotes was inspired by the eye of Paul and the eye of Horus. Although Thoth restored the eye that Set destroyed, now an ocular prosthesis would suffice. Page 295, note. The all-seeing eye of God comforts some but unnerves others. It reminds Freemasons of the great architect of the universe watching over us. On the other hand, the network uses data gathered from governments and other corporations. License plate readers can photograph over 100,000 plates per hour, the time and place of each passing vehicle. Devices with GPS are also tracked with locations logged. Satellite imaging and surveillance cameras use facial recognition technology to supply searchable databases. Our internet searches, purchases, clicks, posts, and comments dictate what information and products to market, to whom, informing companies how to manipulate each human specifically. When computers are connected to the internet, everything on our screens can be seen and analyzed by others. Cameras and microphones are activated remotely to spy on us. Internet searches, social media posts, clicks, likes, comments, phone calls, text messages, and purchases are recorded, analyzed, sold, and exploited worldwide. Some schemers intend to have nearly everyone tracked and controlled by self-assembling graphene nanoparticles integrated with the human nervous system. Such cyborg brains will have the convenience of interfacing with micro-devices everywhere that communicate with each other, sending personal data that may be exploited. The all-seeing eye reminds us of the cute beetle, yet in light of how each human's file is gathered and beamed about for control and commercial purposes. Let the great eye in the sky also remind us that our illuminated big brother is watching us. Chapter 32. The parting on the left is now on the right, page 299. Page 301, note, William yearned to reveal the switch, but also had strong incentives to maintain plausible deniability. He participated in elaborate disclosure measures as well as in self-protective countermeasures. Like writing a mystery novel, the strategy is to present several bits of solid information along with one bit that can be discredited, maintaining the uncertainty that guides readers to flip-flop opinions. Occasional false clues set up a straw man to be blown down to discredit the real intel. For example, after William was filmed playing the guitar left-handed, he had the negative flip to make it appear that someone caught him playing right-handed. He then drew attention to it to have PID interpreters take notice. When enough people use the footage to prove that he is right-handed, others will discover that the film had been flipped, thus discrediting the PID camp, maintaining balance with PIA fans to whom he pretends that he had no knowledge of the deception in the first place. Making clues and counter-clues has the added benefit of keeping this important story alive. If Paul's replacement had been announced in 1966, the world would have moved on. All would have mourned but welcomed, open quote, Billy Shears, close quote, as more than a fantasy. Until the matter is settled once and for all, the energy surrounding it cannot rest. This is yet one more way that Paul lives on. Page 302. Note, all poisons are addictive. All addictions require an element of harm, since the smoke of organic non-GMO tobacco is non-carcinogenic and not otherwise harmful enough to be highly addictive. Most commercially successful tobacco cigarette companies intentionally lace their products with poisons. Consumers may buy the single ingredient of tobacco, roll their own cigars or cigarettes, and smoke them with much less harm than would come from most pre-prepared cigarettes. Some smokers mix tobacco with healthful herbs, such as marijuana. Blunts from organic plants should always be preferred over carcinogenic cigars or cigarettes. According to the American Lung Association, most commercial cigarettes contain approximately 600 ingredients. When burned, cigarettes create more than 7,000 chemicals. 69 of those chemicals are known to cause cancer. Many of these chemicals are also found in consumer products that have warning labels, such as rat poison. While the public is warned about the danger of the poisons in such products, there is no such warning for the carcinogens and other toxins in tobacco smoke. For increased profits, many corporations pay to make laws that are against the common good. Just as Big Pharma blocks legalizing competing healing herbs, cigarette companies are not blocked from adding poisons including acetone found in nail polish remover, acetic acid, an ingredient in hair dye, ammonia, a common household cleaner, arsenic used in rat poison, benzene found in rubber cement, and gasoline, butane used in lighter fluid, now also found in many vape cartridges, cadmium, active component in battery acid, carbon monoxide released in car exhaust fumes, formaldehyde embalming fluid, also produced by vaping when cutting agents such as PEGs and MCT have been used to liquefy THC concentrates, hexamine found in barbecue lighter fluid, lead used in batteries, naphthalene, an ingredient in mothballs, methanol, a main component in rocket fuel, toluene used to manufacture paint. Page 303. Note, adding confusion. Some photographers had Paul pose with a cigarette in his right hand. Page 305. Note, understanding Paul's demise prepares the initiated for what is ahead. It is not enough to know that Paul was replaced, but to understand its part in the spiritual and social revolution in preparation for the worldwide political transformation. There will be fighting in the street to establish the New World Constitution. When the political transformation is complete, all will embrace the new religion, which is a rebranded restoration of the old. Page 309. Note, Paul's eyes fluctuated from light brown to dark brown. William's hazel eyes fluctuate from practically green to almost as dark as Paul's, when Paul's are at their lightest. Chapter 33. Hey Jude, page 310, page 311. Note, besides brazenly positioning William on the front cover of a collection of Beatles oldies, we find him dressed very modernly, far less conservatively than the Beatles had been with their matching suits. It showed that even the Beatles were now out of date. Their oldies, recorded from 1963 to 1966, included hits released only 4 months earlier on Revolver. The world was braced for the new Beatles' direction. Page 312. Note, the Beatles' first album on their Apple record label, Hey Jude, has sold about 8 million copies worldwide. The song title inspired the title of the #1 New York Times best-selling picture book, Hey Granddude. That children's book and its sequel, Granddude's Green Submarine, were written by Paul McCartney and illustrated by Catherine Durst. Hey Granddude was released in September 2019, the same year as the movie Yesterday. In that movie, the song Hey Jude is sung by Hey Dude. Page 318. Note, William was often asked how Linda Eastman was related to George Eastman, founder of the Eastman Kodak Camera and Film Company. Some people thought that she had inherited the Eastman Kodak fortune. William always answered that they were not related. A better question one rarely asked was how she was related to Brian Epstein. She and Brian descended from Epsteins in the old Russian Empire. In America, Linda's father, Leopold Vail Epstein, as named by his Jewish-Russian immigrant parents, changed his name to Lee Eastman without any connection to George Eastman. Coming from the Jewish heritage, Linda naturally also desired to bring up their children to be Jewish. Although William did not convert, he was always supportive of raising their children in that heritage, participating positively. William's current wife, Nancy Chevelle, is also Jewish. Page 319. No, William does indeed like to play with words. He says here that he enjoys massaging the same line to take on several meanings within a song. He is also extremely skillful in his word selection in prose and in speaking, even in interviews, without having the luxury of reworking his lines. He engages in an uncommonly clever level of masterful speaking. He bounces back and forth between levels of meaning so that the takeaway message will be one thing for those who believe he is the biological Paul, and something else for those who know the difference between when he is speaking as himself and when he is speaking as the Paul McCartney corporate fiction.
Way you feel about yourself, or does it have any effect at all?
Yeah, it's kind of strange, you know. In one way you ignore it because it's showbiz and it's another character, but you do occasionally sort of wake up and think, God, you know, I'm Paul McCartney. The thing is, you know, I just laughed it off, but it was a little bit strange because people did start looking at me like, right. Is it him or a very good double?
Well, that was the idea. That was the other part of it, that there was a guy who looked like you taking your place.
No, well, this is him.
Yeah. Or is it?
To understand the method, imagine being an actor playing the role of James Bond. On a break, when asked about your bagel sandwich, you answer as yourself. But when asked how you vanquish the enemy, you answer as the character. Those blinded by believing in the fictional character are further from the truth whenever the actor speaks as his authentic self. The more real he is, the greater the ruse. He talks about his lunch. They add bagels to the Bond story. The truth is kept secret in proportion to the hearer's imperfect reasoning. When the audience is a mix of the informed and the ignorant, the masterful speaker, hiding the truth in plain view, will phrase answers so that the same words are taken in different ways according to the awareness of each hearer. See the next footnote for examples of William saying things to validate conflicting positions about him, giving foolish excuses for his Paul is dead clues, provide a way out for fools who cannot bear to know that Paul is indeed gone, while also making the excuse so hilariously absurd that insiders laugh with him at their gullibility, allowing each side to feel superior to the other.
The 60s, is that when the rumors about you being dead surfaced? Do you remember that? Do you remember how?
Yeah, no, what happened was we did a cover for a record called Abbey Road, and the idea was to walk across the crossing, and I showed up that day with sandals, flip-flops. It was so hot, and I kicked them off and walked across barefooted. So this started some rumor that because he was barefooted, he's dead. I couldn't see the connection myself.
The same principle is embedded throughout this book. By masterfully writing in layered meaning, William conveys one message to one group of readers and other messages to other groups, while winking to the illuminated who have enough background information to comprehend all the levels. This book is primarily written for 6 audiences. First, this book is for those who are open to raising consciousness. This group benefits from straight information about how the world is run. They are given this PID context as a gateway to the broader awareness. This group is small but positively impacts the world. Second, this group is for those who are interested in details about how Paul was replaced. With love for the Beatles, or for Paul, they want to understand the secret messages that the Beatles spent hundreds of hours creating. Third, this book is for those who do not want to believe that Paul was replaced, but who enjoy letting this magical mystery smash against their fixed paradigms for what some have called the ultimate mind fuck. Fourth, this book is for insiders who enjoy seeing their secrets spread out before the world in protective layers that the world, although shown, cannot see. Fifth, this book is also written for specific interest groups, saying enough to acknowledge or inform them, usually without saying enough for them to throw the book across the room, as some readers have done. Sixth, this book is worded specifically for those who would create legal entanglements if this book were to say either too much or too little, based on the awareness, logic, opinions, or interest that one brings to this book. One sees what others miss. We have each our own reasons and rewards. What you seek is seeking you. Rumi. Chapter 34. Do you hear voices? Page 322. Page 323. Note, William saying that he wore a black carnation because no one could find another red one in all of London's many florist shops, like saying that he crossed Abbey Road barefoot because it was too hot to wear flip-flops on that hot pavement, shows the role of confirmation bias. Most people cannot stand to be wrong. When beliefs are threatened by fact or reasoning, some accept any excuse to keep believing. Hence this fine work to finally unfool. The fooled requires far more effort than was made to fool them in the first place. Fear of being a fool makes us foolish. Regarding rock and roll, relationships, or religion, the mind favors evidence to support its views. You can tell me anything at all as long as it supports what I believe. One of the saddest lessons of history is this. If we've been bamboozled long enough, we tend to reject any evidence of the bamboozle. We're no longer interested in finding out the truth. The bamboozle has captured us. It's simply too painful to acknowledge, even to ourselves, that we've been taken. Once you give a charlatan power over you, you almost never get it back. Carl Sagan. It traps narrow minds. Rigid thinking is thought cessation. To be free, let go of attachment to certainty. Stop saying, I know that. Page 324. Note, digital remastering top hits not only improved song quality but also made the new releases more fully Williams, making him largely responsible for all remastered Beatles hits recorded from 11 September 1962, exactly 4 fab years before Paul dies, to 1 April 1970, April Fool's Day. Digital remastering greatly strengthened Williams' portfolio. Some videos at www.jamespaulmccartney.com impressed William, but one troubled him when a guest said that William hates Crowley. Although William felt that Alistair lacked love for family and others who should mattered more, William harbours no hate for the man. William responded, there seems to be much misunderstanding about my memoirs. Let's digitally remaster it and re-release it on 9/9/18. Since that release 9 years after the original 90909 release, details that have been too cryptic have been laid out more plainly. Now in William's final stretch of life, courageous favouring truth over diplomacy, he less cautiously buffers his Crowley connection, Illuminati affiliation, anti-religion perspective, drug use and sexual liberation. He believes in personal freedom. His songs, the memoirs, and his interviews encourage fans to get over their inhibitions. That edition was also the first to include 66 footnotes, now 180, each with the eye of Paul Pyramid pointing to the corresponding text. Those footnotes included many new details connecting Egyptian symbolism to Paulism. That edition was also the first to refer to William Scarab the Gold-Winged Beetle. These and other new Egyptian elements added to the hardcover release on 9 September 2018 were supported by the 7 September 2018 release of the Paul McCartney album, Egypt Station, deriving its artwork from his eponym, 1988 painting. The train station or spaceport connects heaven and earth, not only for the ancient gods to come to him, but for him to meet them where they are. It is his point of ascension. The ibex stands ready. Chapter 35, Between Me and My Encoder, it's all sixes, page 328, page 332. Note, this chapter's story of the encoder Thomas E. Uharriet meeting William by accident is fictional. William did not break the confidentiality agreement by confiding in a stranger and hiring him to be the messenger. That cover story required for the memoirs is not how the candidate was selected.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.